Hello, hello. How's it going? This is Sebastien, back again here from all my thrifting adventures, and just going to go over some recent sales. It's going to be from mainly two platforms, eBay, and then just a couple sales from Pangobooks, which is a site that I actually really like for selling books. And I do use a third site as well, Depop, which I also do like and has been doing pretty well for me lately. But eBay is still my main one, so that's the one I'm mostly showcasing for the sold videos. And this one I just had to share because this is something I recently got for my own collection. It's 1949 issue of Vogue featuring Jean Patchett on the cover. Shot by Irving Penn, and it's one I've been after for a long time, so I was really excited to get that one. So anyways, to the sales. So this first one is The Art of Beatrix Potter. It's a first edition hardcover from 1955. It's a very beautiful book, actually. Fairly hard to find. Had it listed for about $119.99. Sold on offer for $65. It was somebody who sent me offers on several different items. So I ended up taking their offers just because they were buying multiple things. And the cost on this one was $2.50, and I'd had it for a little while. So it was good to move it and move it to somebody who I assume is going to enjoy it because it's a really cool book. Next is a book called Creepers by Edward Lee. It's a vintage horror paperback from 1994, published by Zebra, which they publish a lot of very nice horror books with really nice covers. This one sold on Pangobooks for $42. The cost was $2, and it sold almost immediately. So I picked it up because I really liked the cover art, and then it seemed fairly rare. It was very hard to comp. And the condition was very good. So I might have even undersold it, but you know what? That's okay because I made some money, sold it fast, and hopefully it'll go to somebody who's going to enjoy it. Next, this is another one from Pangobooks. And the thing about Pangobooks is their fee structure seems very, very high initially, as they take 20%, but it's flat. So eBay is fairly sneaky in a lot of ways in how they grab all their fees. They kind of hit you from all sorts of directions. They even make you pay a fee on the sales tax from your sale, which is, to me, frankly, disrespectful. But eBay still works fine for me, so I don't complain too much. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I just don't like that. I think it's disrespecting your customers and your sellers to do something like that. But anyways, Pango is a 20% flat fee, so you just have to price accordingly, and it's all very clear though, because you know exactly what it's going to cost you. So this was first edition of John Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie. It was a later printing, 15th, sold for $59, and that one cost $2.50. I don't often find any early edition Steinbecks. I think that was probably the first interesting hardcover Steinbeck I found. Next is a very cool film poster. It's for a film, the Los Angeles International Film Exposition from 1976. And the art is by John Alvin, and it's kind of got an Art Deco kind of styling to it. And that one I picked up at White Dove here in town in Phoenix for about $30, and it sold for $150. So it's a really cool piece. Has just a great aesthetic to it. So that was a nice sale. Then this next one is a T-shirt, Dakar. Speed Energy, like racing t-shirt, and the graphics is very nice. That's what stuck out to me. Sports and racing culture is pretty strong, and people like to collect these kind of things, this kind of niche. So sold for $37, and it cost about $3. This next one is, these are very nice too. Dale of Norway heavy knit sweater, sold for 112. Someone sent me an offer for that, and I took it on eBay. And it cost about $8. And when I was looking back at my listing, I probably could have used some better keywords like fisherman and stuff like that. Those kind of keywords can really help get your items in front of the right people. So sometimes I just got to remember to do that for some of these, and it'll probably sell more quickly or even at a better price. But I was fine with 112. That was good. I have another one, Dale of Norway sweater that I found, and I think I love the embroidery and designs on them. I think they're just really cool. And if I didn't live in Phoenix, I would totally love to wear them. But you know, here I can't even wear a long sleeve T-shirt but two days of the year. So you know, you can't really wear jackets here either. Next is Tomes of Atuan by Ursula K. Le Guin. It's part of the Earthsea trilogy, and this was a hardcover from 1988. It's not a first edition, but it was some kind of reissue, and this is a very hard or rare edition, it seemed like. So it sold for $39.99, cost about $2.50. I love Le Guin personally as a writer. She's amazing, one of my favorite sci-fi writers and writers in general. Next is The Quiet American, and this one I remember I had to read in high school. But this was I believe it was a first American edition and a first printing from 1956. It took a little while to sell, sold for $50, and that can be the case for some of these vintage books. It's just like you got to be okay with holding them if you're chasing a certain price. Sold for $50, cost about $2.50. This next one was actually my favorite one, and one of my favorite finds. It's a Carter Hoffman carved figurine of the Oregon State Beaver mascot and it's probably from the 1950s. And this one cost $2 or even a little less, and it sold for $224.99. And the reason, and it had been in the store in the Goodwill for a while. I saw the tag, and it stuck out to me because of the design and kind of the age look to it. But the design looked very stylized and interesting, kind of like the 1940s, 50s cartoon style, which I think is very fun. So I was looking it up, and there's this artist made a whole series of different figurines for different schools in that era, so 40s and 50s. So they're very collectible, pretty hard to find, I think, which is why it sold for that much. And even when I was looking them up, I'm like, oh, that would be cool to collect. But I'm not going to do that because I have enough collecting interests. Next, Diamonds Are Forever, book club edition from 1971. It's a movie tie-in. This one I got for about $4 from Goodwill, and it sold for $39.99. Cool book and great for anybody who likes James Bond and that whole franchise. Next, this one I really love this book, The Plant Sitter by Jean Zion and Margaret Bloy Graham. They were a team that did a lot of books together, children's books. There's one with the little dog, Harry the dog. But The Plant Sitter is particularly wonderfully drawn, and I think is one of the harder ones to find of their books. So this one sold for $39.99, and it cost about $1. Also a Goodwill find. Next, this is a Burberry London new with tags button-up. Sold for $140. It cost about $8, and it's a very nice shirt. I picked that up on a fresh rack at Goodwill. So, yeah, that was a good one. This next one is Merry Christmas from Fei Wong from 1994. It's a magazine kind of star book that was, I think, published in Hong Kong. And the term that is used, I think, for some of these singers from that era, from that area is called a canto pop. So it sold for $70, cost about $2. I found it at a Goodwill with a couple other similar books on like Japanese movie actresses and pop stars, and a couple Chinese performers or maybe it was more like Hong Kong as well, but those can be fairly collectible, and the foreign material is always kind of cool like that. And that stuff is just, you know, stuff that gets thrown away, people don't keep. It's hard to preserve, basically. Let's see, going on. Oh yeah, this is, I try and look out for these Loungefly bags. This one is a Paul Frank Loungefly backpack, and sold for $69.99. Cost about $6. I love Paul Frank, like a lot of people. The designs are awesome. And I remember reading a really great article about him years back, where he was, you know, he was an art and design guy, and he partnered up with a guy who was kind of the money business guy, and the money business guy ended up screwing Paul Frank out of his own rights, and so Paul Frank couldn't even draw his own characters. So it's basically a very good cautionary tale, in my opinion, for anybody who is a creative and you're creating IP. Always try and understand the rules of the game and try and maintain control of your work as much as you can, and don't let them steal it from you, you know, through legal chicanery, basically. Next is a very nice Hieronymus Bosch art book from 1987. It was a huge book. I found it with a bunch of other art books, and I picked up a handful of them, but the thing is they were all quite big, so I tried to be choosy, and for this one I tried to price it to sell, because these larger books, they are like space hogs. So and as much as I like having them around, I just can't keep stacking them up to the moon, you know, like I got the problems. So this one sold for $80. It cost about $3. And this last one is Julia and Jack Cooking at Home, and it's signed by Julia Child. And it didn't have the dust jacket, but that's not a big deal. The thing that matters is the signature. And it sold for $124.99, and it costs about $250. I like to check the cookbooks sometimes if it's somebody that's fairly famous, at least that I'm aware of, and I'll see if it's signed, and there's a decent portion of them that are signed. And the people that do books, the other book resellers, a good portion of them are just, they scan the ISBNs to see if they're going to pick up a book or not, if it's worth it for them. But the good thing about that is they're running a volume game, and so they're not really, don't have the time or inclination to check for like if things are signed and stuff like that. For me, since I do more vintage, and kind of books, like I like to look for that stuff that's signed, or, you know, it's vintage, and also it slips through the cracks, because you kind of have to be able to willing to check that stuff or have an inkling that it might be something interesting. So you have to build a little knowledge around those different areas, which helps you kind of go faster too. So yeah, that's some of the recent sales, but the Carter Hoffman little figurine was probably my favorite one, like I was saying. And otherwise, I'll do a show and tell on some recent finds. I found some cool art pieces recently, and like I mentioned in another video, I'm trying to work through building up some consignment, some deals with some different consignment places to help move the artwork, because I do love picking it up and I love learning about it. And I kind of feel like the more you do any niche or area, you get more knowledge and you get better at it. So that's kind of my view, is the art is kind of one of the later things I started doing, because I first started doing books, and then I got into clothing, or mostly t-shirts, and then I got into other types of clothing, because the t-shirts were more what I knew and had an interest in. So definitely get better as you go along, and I figure that that'll be the case with artwork too. And the nice thing about art is it is fairly high margin, but selling it is the tricky part, and being able to store it. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, feedback, whatever, please feel free to comment. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.